Wagwan everybody, Lennox here from Simple123 Trader. This is the weekly playbook outlook for the week of September 11th to 16th. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to start off with the US dollar index, and I'm on the weekly time frame looking at what's setting up for the upcoming week. You can see we just started the week and we have been in a down move. So are we going to continue down, or are we going to be bouncing from this point here? Let's take a look a little closer. And overall, looking like we're going to have a little bit of a down week to retrace this move. And we could see ourselves looking at declines in perhaps as deep as this previous area. So looking at, say, approximately 50% to 62% retracement of this current move, and so a downward mode for the US dollar into, you can see even on the hourly time frame. I should have gone to the 4-hour just to, yeah, so we can see that we've been in a downward mode. We've come back to a previous support area, but it looks like it might bounce a little bit here, but it looks like we'll eventually start coming back down again. So a little bit of weakness, I would say, going into this week for the US dollar, at least in the short term. All right, let's take a look at the Aussie. I'm going to go up to the weekly time frame on that one. So Aussie also at a support and resistance, previous support resistance area, and looking like it overall is pointing to a move to the upside, but this looks like it's going to be a short-term move to the upside. We're sitting at support, we're bouncing, but overall we're in a downtrend, and I'd like to see this any opportunities to take it to the downside based on any moves to the upside. Okay, so a little bit of weakness in the Australian dollar to start off the week as well. Okay, take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is battling to break back above its low. So we can see that it broke through the lows. Did break the low here. That low is 18,367.5, and this low is 18,5. So we did break the lows, and now it's trying very hard, battling very hard to turn around at this point. So is this a legitimate bottom, or do we still have further downside? We've retraced. Let me just make this a little bigger. We've retraced this move, and we could be looking for further declines going into this week with Bitcoin. So be cautious, because of this strong move to the upside might be short-lived. Okay, I'm going to take a look at it on the 4-hour. I'll get a little better look at it. So quite a move up, and just seeing a little blip there, move to the upside. It is possible we could jetson up one more time and come up into this area, but if we do, we're heading back down after that. Okay, so short term, maybe a little bit of strength, but overall we're heading back down. Let's take a look at crude oil. I'll go to the weekly on crude oil, and we're just in an overall decline in crude oil. So I would see crude oil continuing down and maybe back down into this area by the end of the week. Okay, so that's, well, I shouldn't say by the end of the week, but in an overall downward spiral anyways at this point. So any moves to the upside, opportunities to sell oil. All right, taking a look at the DAX. I'll go to the weekly on the DAX. The DAX also is in quite a downward mode, and this little move to the upside might be short-lived as well, and more than likely likely see further declines in the DAX, looking to break these lows before the week is out. Okay, so continued weakness in the DAX overall at this point. Taking a look at the Canadian dollar from the weekly, it too is in a decline, and it's trying, as you can see, to bounce back, but we could get it for further declines, at least in the short term, to just retrace the current move that it's made. So possible further decline here. This is the low. I think this one's higher, so it's possible to see a decline here first, and maybe we'll go back up again, but a little bit of weakness in the CAD overall. Taking a look at the euro, it too has been in quite a decline. If I go to the weekly, total decline on the euro, and if I go to the monthly, trying to see if there's any support over to the left, but there really isn't. But we're getting a pin bar on the monthly. On the weekly, trying to turn around at this point. And if the U.S. dollar weakness holds, then we would see movements to the upside in the euro. So perhaps a short move back down, and then we'll get a move back to the upside in the euro overall. So the euro, of course, Aussie, GBP, New Zealand, Japanese yen, USD, Swiss, all dependent on what the US dollar does. So keep your eyes on those. Okay, so let's take a look at the Swiss franc, and on the weekly time frame, we've been in a very choppy affair here, up and down, and inside this looks like a diagonal type of structure, and looking like we want to come back down again out of it. So going back to the daily, you can see the structure much more clearly, and we're inside this very volatile structure. It's come back and retraced this move, and I would expect a further moves to the downside. At least again in the short term, we might get a little bit of a blip up, but I think we might be very close to the top to head back down on the Swiss franc. Okay, taking a look at gold, and on the weekly time frame, gold is very weak. We're sitting right at a very strong support area, and looking like we're going to go through that more than likely before the week is out. We'll see new lows in gold. Okay, so weakness in gold going forward. Japanese yen, also very weak. If I go to the weekly, it's just been in an overall downward spiral and looks to continue going down. So any bounces to the upside, opportunities to sell into the Japanese yen. So weak Japanese yen gives you lots of opportunities in the major currencies, or in other currencies against the Japanese yen. Okay, New Zealand dollar, it too very weak overall, and although we do have a spinning top there on the weekly, on the daily, we're trying to make a little bit of a bounce, but we're still in an overall downtrend. So a little bit of weakness in the New Zealand dollar overall. The NASDAQ. Okay, let's take a look at the NASDAQ on the weekly. So just make this smaller, see if I can see bottom here. Okay, so we've had quite a push to the upside. Got to move back down. Now it's trying to make another push on the weekly to the upside. So we came all the way down. We've hit previous support area, and now we're pushing to the upside. So it looks pretty good for a continued move to the upside for the NASDAQ going into this week. Pretty strong here. Let's see if that's going to hold. Okay, still on the way up. So short term moves to the upside looks like that's what's going to happen. So we'll just go with the flow. The NASDAQ is very strong at this point, so we're not going to fight against it. Taking a look at the British pound. And the British pound overall, again, on the weekly has been in a decline, and we reached a support area and looking to bounce. So if the US dollar has weakness, we would look for strength in the British pound, similar to what we did for the euro and Aussie. Okay, so and New Zealand, of course. Okay, so a little bit of a bounce happening here on the British pound, so we'll see if that holds for the remainder of the week. Taking a look at silver. And silver, similar to gold, has been in an overall decline and looks to continue going down, at least in the short term as well. So it's trying to make a bounce, but I think it doesn't have much legs here, and we'll see a further declines in silver. The Russell 2000 futures also, like the NASDAQ, getting a nice bounce to the upside here. Now, one of the things I have to say at this point, we hit this previous support resistance area and made this bounce. So here we do have structure-wise a possibility that we could come back down into this area before we get another move either to the upside or we continue to the downside. So similar will be the same if I leave this on this drawing and go back to NASDAQ. It's a similar type of affair. So it is possible for us to come up a little bit, maybe back into this area here, and then we're heading back down. So it moved to the upside in the short term, but we could, of course, turn back to the downside. So US, the Russell 2000 is similar. The Dow would, and I'm going to put the drawing back on what I just had. The Dow is also similar, and so is the S&P 500. So you can see they're all almost identical, and it's very important area that we're in right now. Lots of strength in them, but overall still weakness, more so in the long term. All right. Well, last but not least, the U.S. Technology Group. Take a look at that. And again, if I left that drawing, similar, same type of movements happening here, and continued strength in the short term, at least for this week, but long term weakness is in the cards. All right, so that's a look at what's setting up for this week for our S123 members. If you're playing any of the majors, keep your eyes on the US dollar. Profitable trading to everyone. I'm done now. Thank you.